Welcome to extraterrestrial reality. When the world's greatest thinkers aren't thinking, right, you know you're in trouble. Now, the other day I came across a video online, a YouTube video. I will leave the link. I'm not going to post any content from this video, but I at the end of this podcast, if you're interested, I would check out this video. It's a 9-minute and 38-second long video. And it's on a channel called Closer to Truth, and it's a show that's hosted by Robert Lawrence Kuhn, and the guest here is Jaron Lanier. This is a guy who coined the term virtual reality, and this is about basically they're talking to I guess on this program they talk to the world's greatest minds. And the question posed during this little 9-minute video is, why aren't aliens already here? And now, I'm not going to, all I could tell you is that the Fermi paradox was mentioned. There was discussion about sending out radio signals and laser signals and some other nonsense. But this is the world's greatest thinkers, supposedly. Jaron Lanier and the guy who was hosting this program, Kuhn, apparently they're what's the word here? They're not. They're basically not aware of anything else, and they're aware of there's no evidence as far as they're concerned. They're completely oblivious to the things that the Pentagon has talked about for the last 5 years. Oblivious. They don't even want to. That's not even mentioned during this. This is an example of what I've been talking about. Recently with regard to debunkers and the way the science community handles the concept, the idea that there's actually extraterrestrials already here. They basically don't accept any kind of none of the evidence there's a preponderance of evidence that has built up over the past 75 years that's not even, they're oblivious to this. Like if you watch this video, you will see what I'm talking about. These people are living in another reality. A reality, by the way, and again, this is the world's biggest, brightest thinkers we have. They're not thinking. They're not considering the evidence that's compiled over the last 75 years. And especially considering now, again, in the past 5 years, the fact that the Pentagon has been talking about this subject and come clean that there's things out there that they can't understand. Now, of course, the Fermi paradox was mentioned in this during this video, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, again, I suggest when I'm done here talking, check out the link and watch this video because you're not going to believe the stuff you're going to hear. And this is supposed to be like one of the world's greatest thinkers. I don't get it. I mean, this person's not thinking. Nobody's thinking. Actually, if this is the way the world's greatest thinkers think, then we've got problems. We've got problems. These people, they're not living in reality. It's just incredible. But of course, that one of the things that was mentioned was the Fermi paradox. And back in 1950, there was a physicist named Enrico Fermi who asked the question, hey, if there's all this extraterrestrial life out there, where is everybody? How come they're not here? And now, of course, in 1950, this was, an interesting question to ask. I mean, especially considering for the past 3 years at that point, there was some evidence, definitely, there were flying saucers that people were reporting at the time. There was no way that in 1950 that the answers to where these things came from was obvious yet. I mean, to some people, I'm sure it was. Some people deep in the Pentagon, part of Majestic 12, I think those people were pretty certain that these things weren't from this world. But anyway, the Fermi paradox, and this is from Wikipedia, the chain of reasoning with regard to the Fermi paradox. There are billions of stars in the Milky Way similar to the Sun. With high probability, some of these stars have Earth-like planets in a circumstellar habitable zone. Many of these stars, and hence their planets, are much older than the Sun. If the Earth is typical, some may have developed intelligent life long ago. Some of these civilizations may have developed interstellar travel, a step humans are investigating investigating now. Even at the slow pace of currently envisioned interstellar travel, the Milky Way galaxy could be completely traversed in a few million years. Since many of the stars similar to the Sun are billions of years older, Earth should have already been visited by extraterrestrial civilizations, or at least their probes. However, there is no convincing evidence that this has happened. Again, this is a complete... now this was in 1950. A lot of stuff has happened since 1950, and here we have in this video that was just came out this month, on this channel, Closer to Truth, where it's they're still hanging on to the Fermi paradox a little bit, and not only that, they're talking about sending radio signals out to deep space. Well, why do all of that? Why not try to study? Like I brought this up before. Why not try to study the stuff that's here? Why aren't we concerned with all the reports and evidence that we have already? I mean, from the physical trace evidence. I mean, aren't these great thinkers interested in physical trace evidence? Where multiple witnesses many times, right, see objects landing, sometimes occupants walking around, and then the things take off, and then there's footprints, and there's the earth, the ground, the earth itself is completely desaturated of life, and plant life is burned, and there's marks in the ground from the legs that extended out from the craft before it landed. I mean, aren't they interested in that kind of thing? That doesn't constitute evidence. I mean, what do these people want, right? I'm trying to figure this out. I mean, obviously these alien beings that are here, right? They're here, right? I know that. Again, I have an ace up my sleeve, right? I already know that because I've seen one of their craft, and also I had an encounter with one of these beings, so I know for a fact they're here. These guys are a bunch of jokers. They're not great thinkers. And that's just me. I'm just one person. There's millions of people that have encountered all different kinds of facets of this phenomenon, from the cattle mutilations to the physical trace evidence to seeing objects pretty close up. Now, we're not talking about, a lot of times these scientists and astronomers, they're talking about people seeing objects that are really far away that might be a plane or might be a meteor or might be this or might be that. I'm talking about stuff where, there's something that lands, right? Or something that's really close to you, right? Well, within 500 feet. Right, these people aren't interested in that kind of evidence, though. What about all the photographs and film and video that's been collected over the years? Every single one of it's fake, right? Every single one of the pieces of that evidence doesn't. The great thinkers, that's not. They can't consider that. Aren't you a great? How could you call yourself a great thinker and this doesn't count in any of this stuff? The alien abduction cases, are all these people just nuts, suffering some sort of mental problem? Did you ever investigate it? No, you haven't. But there are people who have, and they think there's something to it. The people who investigate it, the actual doctors, PhDs who looked into this, have determined they think that there's something going on here. So you have all that. You have the cattle mutilations. It's not been explained. It's been going on for over 50 years now, and nobody knows what's going on. As far as we know, it could have been going on a lot longer, but we didn't really start noticing it until 1967. Okay, so none of that's interesting to you, that all of a sudden a UFO shows up over a pasture somewhere, and the next thing you know, there's a dead cow and all its blood is gone, and there's parts of its body's sectioned away with laser precision cuts. That's not fascinating to you? I mean, you're not interested in, you're a great thinker, right? And you can't, you just can't, you don't think that's worthy of investigation. That doesn't mean there's proof. I mean, what do you want? I know what you want. I know what you think. This is what great thinkers want. I'm going to tell you, folks, what the great thinkers expect. They think there's going to be some deputation of some alien races that are going to land somewhere and meet like dignitaries and we are from the planet so-and-so and we have come here in peace. That's what they think. This is what this is the only thing I could come up with. They think that when a race that's more technologically advanced than human beings, when they come here, they have this concept in their mind that it's going to be some great event, right? It's going to be a bunch of dignitaries and great brains of the world gathered, and there's going to be a spaceship that lands in some designated spot, and we're all going to meet each other and shake hands and then talk about things. That's what obviously they must be thinking, because obviously they're not considering the evidence that we already have here. These people are, Jaron Lanier is a great thinker, but here he's talking about sending out messages SETI style into space, and among other things. I'm not going to, I'll save it for when you got to check this out for yourself. Compare what this guy is saying to the stuff that I'm saying. So basically, what I ask of everyone at the end, at the conclusion of this section of this podcast here, I would suggest that you follow the link that I provide you, and I want you to listen closely to this interview, and you tell me that this is a great thinker. That you compare what this guy is saying to what I'm saying here, and what a lot of other people are saying, what a lot of other people believe. I mean, so we have the great thinkers who just are completely oblivious to the evidence like this. These are the great thinkers of the world. Completely oblivious to the evidence. They don't even consider it. None of it. None of it. That's not even a discussion part. That's not even a part of the discussion here. It's fantastic. It's amazing. I was flabbergasted. I just don't see how this is, that's not what great thinkers are supposed to be doing. Okay, to me, great thinkers are supposed to be actually thinking about what the hell's going on here with the stuff that people are telling you that's going on. I mean, they're from the if they're such humanitarians and all that kind of stuff, then they don't have much faith in humanity. Obviously, they don't believe anybody that talks about this stuff. I mean, you think they're going to listen to me? They're going to look at me and look at that guy. You know, get away, you dummy. That's what they think. But guess who's the dummy here? The ones who aren't using any common sense. It's people like this. We don't have that. If this is what the great thinkers are, we are in trouble. We are in big trouble. I mean, honestly, I can't wait till you guys, again, you got to check this video out because you ain't going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. I mean, again, compare it to everything you know, everything that you've studied on your own and know about. I mean, all the books I've read, all the evidence, the preponderance of evidence states clearly that there's something here. And yet you have the great thinkers of the world just completely oblivious to it. And again, I mean, see, and that now just the other day, I did an article, or I read an article from Scientific American where they were talking about NASA, and you know, they basically the tone of it made it sound like NASA's not really interested in trying to really uncover the UFO mystery, and they didn't get any comments from NASA about this. But today, I did find something on Twitter. Somebody posted something on Twitter, which was actually a page from NASA, and actually NASA spelled out exactly what they're looking for. So we're going to get into that here in a little bit here, if I just give me a second till I find it. But again, my point is here is that this is because the scientific community, right? Because they are not, you know, they don't, to them, this whole idea that there's an extraterrestrial presence here, they don't want to accept it. To them, it's just completely silly and ridiculous and absurd. Really, it's they who are the ones who are absurd, right? They're the ones who are absurd. And I just got to say that to see what the great thinkers think about UFOs is stunning. It's stunning. We're never going to get anywhere. If this is what the great thinkers are doing in their spare time with regard to what's going on in this world, right? Talking about things that are absolutely insanely ridiculous and things that don't really make sense. Sending out radio signals to space. I mean, what's that going to do? Why do that when they're already here? You know, that's my question. Here's the quark paradox. Why send out radio signals when they're already here? Because you don't want to look into it. You don't believe it. You just can't. It's unfathomable, right? It's just it's ingrained in you. You're the whole subject's been stigmatized to the point where science just can't take this seriously as a whole. Although there are some guys with guts right now. We talk about that all the time. who are taking this seriously. But anyway, here's from NASA. They're talking about what exactly. This is from June 9th, and I hadn't seen this before, but it's basically their task force, their statement of task, basically is what their study aims to do. Basically, is they want to report on the following questions: what types of scientific data currently collected and archived by NASA or other civilian government entities should be synthesized and analyzed to potentially shed light on the nature and origins of UAP? What types of scientific data currently collected and held by nonprofits and companies should be synthesized and analyzed to potentially shed light on the nature and origins of UAP? What other types of scientific data should be collected by NASA to enhance the potential for developing an understanding of the nature and origins of UAP, and so on and so forth? But they are talking about UAP. But again, this Scientific American article, which I just talked about the other day, they're trying to make it sound like the NASA's not really interested in that. Well, maybe that's true, but that's not what they're saying here. They didn't refer to this. They didn't look at this. If they would have looked at their statement of task, they might have included that in their article, but they didn't. They're just assuming. And you know what happens when you assume, right? But anyway, what they're trying to do with this, it's only $100,000 that they're going to use, but they're trying to determine which is the best way to try to study this, I guess. So I guess it's more of like a pre-study, but it's something. It is something. It's not what Scientific American's trying to make it out to be. But again, the science community, they just don't. The great thinkers of the world, I guess the bottom line is the great thinkers of the world, they just they're not thinking. I'm not sure. In fact, I'm wondering actually where the brains are of the great thinkers. I mean, what do they do? Maybe they're thinking too much. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they think too much, and they've reached some impasse, and you know I don't know. You tell me. But anyway, again, I hate to do this, but I do recommend that you head out on this field trip and check out this video that I'm talking about, because you're not going to believe this. You're just not going to believe it. It's just incredible. And again, the way the scientific community handles this is just atrocious. This isn't science. This isn't the way to approach science. This isn't the way great thinkers are supposed to think. I mean, again, 75 years we're talking about these things, right? 75 years, and it keeps getting more crazier as time goes on, from cattle mutilations to alien abductions, right? None of that stuff counts. Right? None of that stuff counts. Not even any of the video evidence that the Pentagon has admitted of things that they don't know. Instead, what we get, right? What do we get? We get people just constantly trying to debunk all this stuff, right? Oh, it's just Mick West says it's a bouquet. It's a bouquet effect, right? Bouquet effect. Okay, but what's the light that caused what was the light that was there in the first place? Oh, it must have been stars. Yeah, but they had something on radar. It's just going down the rabbit hole of disbelief. It's a reverse rabbit hole, actually. That's what it is with these people. Anyway, we're not going to get anywhere the way the vast scientific community is thinking and views this subject at this point in time. And at the same time, I'm not sure what the Pentagon's up to either. Basically, they're not coming. They know a lot more than they're talking about. A lot more than they've said, actually, a lot more than they said in the Congress, and who knows what they told Congress behind closed doors, but I'm sure it wasn't everything. It's probably just a smidgen of what they actually know. And we're just not, I just think we're still stuck somewhere. We are moving forward, right? At some point, there's going to be something that happens that's going to blow the lid off this whole thing. But as long as we have a scientific community that continues to live basically with its head shoved firmly up we're never going to get anywhere. We're just never going to get anywhere, because these people, they're not thinking. They're supposed to be thinkers, but they don't think. They think nonsense. It takes other people to think. Actually, it takes other people to tell them, and even people out there telling them, right? Other scientists that do think it's credible. What happens to those people? They get thrown under the bus. They get run over. They get made fools out of, and so they're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to rock the boat. So yeah, great thinkers. Yeah, my ass.